cannot change him. And all the nagging in the world is not going to change him. Hello everyone, and welcome to Gems and Pearls with love. To all who are new here, welcome. I talk about biblical womanhood, being a godly wife, a godly mother, and being a homemaker, as well as biblical femininity and the like. So if those topics interest you, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss my next video. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into today's topic. Ladies, wives, and wives to be, doesn't matter if you're married, you still want to come on and listen to this, all is well. It is a new year, and if you have not watched my previous video, happy new year to you all. But anyway, as I am doing this video, we are less than 2 weeks in the new year. Let's do new things. Let's try something new. Let's try to leave behind nagging. Nagging is something that the nagging wife, I mean, even in the world, like if we put away, even aside Christianity, even in the world, it is not looked well upon to be the nagging wife. And even more so, even biblically, like we are told in Proverbs, I believe it's chapter 21, we are told that it is better to live on the rooftop, in the corner of a roof, than to live in the home with a quarrelsome and nagging wife. We are told that it is better to live in a desert. Girl, a desert, a dry, crusty, hot, uncomfortable desert than to live with a quarrelsome and nagging wife. Like, guys, that is, I mean, come on. Like, a desert, this is extreme heat we're talking about. I'm not talking about just being a summer baby like me that just loves summer. I mean extreme heat, like dry, like that's how bad. Okay, have you ever had a leaking pipe or a pipe that just turned on slightly and you're hearing drip, 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 drip? Okay, you know how annoying that sounds? That is how annoying that it is when you are constantly nagging your husband. This is biblical. This is what we are this is the word of God that I'm talking about, guys. So if this is something that you do, something you struggle with, no judgment here. I struggle with it as well. It's something that we all have to work towards. It's not doing. We do not want to be that nagging wife. We do not want our husbands saying that he would rather be in a desert than to be at a nice, warm, and comfortable home with you. So how are we going to turn things around? Whether you are listening to this video when I just put it out, or even if it's in the middle of the year, or even the end of the year, it does not matter. At the end of the day, we can decide to do better, to work towards doing better at any point in time. You do not need a new year to just, like, listen, you can be doing something right now and literally the next minute decide, I'm going to try to do better. I'm done with this, and work towards better. So no matter when you're listening to this video, today's the day. Today's the day to stop being a nagging wife. So I think that one of the most important things is to get to the bottom of why. Like, why do we tend to nag? And in my opinion, based on my experience, based on the conversations that I've had with women, even on my page that has messaged me and so on, is that, you know what, a lot of it I believe has to do with control, wanting to control what is happening. A lot of it I believe, and even wanting to have control, part of it is honestly just pride. Like, if you think about it, you think that your way is better, and that is why you want to say to do things this way, right? And a lot of it is also even just fear. You are concerned, you're worried about how things are turning out. We have a lack of trust in the Lord to say, you know what, I'm going to leave it all up to Him to let things play out the way it's going to play out. So because we lack that full, complete confidence in the Lord and trust in that, God, you're going to speak to my husband about the situation if it's really that important for him to change this. Or, you know what, if something does go wrong and my husband makes a wrong decision, or he's doing this that's wrong, whatever the case is, you are going to take what is bad and turn it for good at the end of the day. So really, if we truly are trusting the Lord fully, and this is something that the Lord has spoken to me about recently, if we are completely trusting him, then we don't really have a reason to be constantly badgering our husbands about this and about that, because we trust that, you know what, you share what you have to say. Like, at the end of the day, don't think the opposite of being a nagging wife is not a silent wife. It's not never saying anything. At the end of the day, our husbands, especially if your husband is a wise man, he's going to want your input. You are his helpmeet, right? So he wants to hear what you have to say. I'm not talking about being silent. However, it's a matter of saying what we have to say, given our view, our point, and whatever, and then at the end of the day, leaving the rest up to him and the Lord, really, ultimately. So if that is the root of your nagging, which I believe in a lot of cases it is something on those lines, the lack of trust in the Lord, fear, desiring to have control, pride, feeling that our way is the best way or the only way, if that is the cause of it, then that's what we have to deal with first. So, you know, going back to the word, realizing all the reasons we have to trust God with our life, like he is worthy of our trust. Go back to memory lane and start writing down some things where he came through for you. Things where you thought that this was like the end, it was going to be horrible, but he worked it out. Even if he started out bad, he worked it out. You came through, you survived. Write down those things and think about those things and realize that God is worthy. We can trust him. Even like, for example, let's say nagging our husbands because we want him to read the word and we want him to spend time with the Lord. And at the end of the day, your heart is good because you want the best. You want him to have a close relationship with the Lord. That would be the best situation. However, we have to remember that more than we love him, God loves him, right? He is God's child. He loves him more than you could ever love him. So therefore, we can trust God to know that, you know what, God, you will do things in your time, and I'm going to do what you want me to do, which is to pray for him. And and in 1 Peter 3, as it talks about, you know, respecting him, winning him over without a word. I mean, I just feel like that alone tells us something. We are to win our husbands over without a word, meaning that is clearly not by nagging him and bothering him and telling him,
why aren't you reading your Bible? Why aren't you reading your Bible? Why aren't you reading your Bible? Like,
that is not helpful. Because at the end of the day, if he is going to pick up his Bible and read because you are constantly nagging him, he's not doing it out of a true, like, desire for a relationship with the Lord or to get closer. He's doing it to shut you up, girl. So that's not the way we want things to go. That is not the relationship that we want our husbands to even have with the Lord. So trust in him. That would be, I would say, definitely step one. So I think that there are some things that we can remind ourselves before we end up starting to nag our husbands. And that is reminding ourselves that he is not a child. Like, he is a full-grown, functioning adult. And he does not need us to mother him and be there and telling him what to do and what not to do. Like, no man wants to be mothered. So I would say that would be one. Like, reminding ourselves that because he's a functioning adult, he can get along without us. And what I mean by that is that, like, okay, let's take driving, for example. Like, that's something where I kind of struggle with, you know, sometimes, like, you see your husband doing something while behind the wheel and you're like, that's just, you know, slow down, don't do this, don't do that, whatever the case is. Okay, the thing about it is that one time I honestly just clicked in my mind that, okay, my husband drives to and from work every day. And he does that without me in the car. By God's grace, he's been able to get from point A to point B safely, you know, as I said, obviously by God's grace, because, you know, he's really his protection on him. But at the end of the day, he clearly is able to drive there without me. So therefore, if he's able to drive to and from work and from wherever to wherever without me in his ear telling him what to do and what not to do, clearly he's functioning and able to drive without my constant input. So therefore, I can just pretend like I'm not there. Like, I don't need to be constantly telling him what to do or what not to do. At the end of the day, he's able to drive and he doesn't need that. Like, you know, I think you guys get my point. Another thing we can remind ourselves is that literally, it's a waste of time. It's honestly a waste of time because we cannot change him. And all the nagging in the world is not going to change him. So really, there's no point to this. Like, at the end of the day, all it's really going to cause is tension, irritation on his part, and matter of fact, irritation even for us. Believe it or not, when you choose to, like, honestly let go of that control and choose to stop nagging and to just trust the Lord and just choose peace over trying to constantly be in control of everything, it's honestly more peaceful for even us. It is stressful constantly feeling like you are responsible for everything this other human being does or doesn't. You are not. You are responsible for yourself. So we can only change ourselves. We are supposed to have self-control, not other people control, not husband control. Right? The desire to control our husband, that came from the fall. We need to overcome that desire. We need to submit to the Spirit of God and trust the Lord. There's no good coming out of it. It's only going to cause arguments, tension, and strife. And even if he doesn't say anything, it is still causing an underlying tension. And it's just going to cause a division in your marriage, which is what the enemy wants. So just remind yourself that literally, as much as I might even feel that little satisfaction that I've gotten out what I need to say, it is not going to end well. There is really no positive that's going to come out of our nagging. So overall, I just believe that we need, as wives, need to practice really pausing before we speak and really thinking to ourselves, is what I'm saying going to come across as nagging? Is what I'm saying necessary? Am I just sharing my thoughts, or am I trying to manipulate, trying to control my husband, or trying to control the situation? Whether that's, again, out of pride, out of fear, a little bit of both, whatever it is. What is the reason for my nagging? Anyways, guys, I have a challenge for you. So whether you are watching this video when it just comes out, or even months or years later, it doesn't matter. You can start the challenge at any time. Okay, let's do a no nagging jar, where every time that you are about to nag, every time, or even a situation occurs where you normally would have something to say, you would definitely, you definitely would have started arguing or said something, but you decided not to, okay? You chose not to. You put in something in that jar. So how much, that depends on you. If you want to put $5, you put $5. You want to put $1, you put $1. For every time that you would have had opportunity to nag, or you normally would have, but you kept your mouth shut, you put in something in that jar. So that how much, again, depends on you. Now, after the end of the month, however much you have put into that jar, you use that for something for yourself. Whether that is to go get your nails done, whether that is to go and, if you have enough to even get a massage, depending on how much you ended up saving, whether that is, even if it's just to buy yourself a new lipstick, a new nail polish color, whatever, just you do something for yourself. It's like a little reward to say, yay, I did it, and look at that, this is what I get in return for that. I think that just a little something to kind of push us, to encourage us to do that. Okay, a whole 30 days of no nagging. I would love to know if any of you guys are going to decide to do this challenge, and if you do, how did it go? So anyway, guys, that is it on this topic for now. Anyways, thank you so very much for watching. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. See you next time.